Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask, Heidi. Today is Monday, the 29th day of July. It is International Tiger Day, roar. National Challenge Champions and Heroes Awareness Day today. National Cheese Sacrifice Purchase Day. I don't know what that means. National Chicken Wing Day. Now there's one I can get behind. Lasagna Day. Oh, man, I haven't had lasagna in forever. We should have some lasagna.
I'm not a huge...
Ooh.
I mean, I'll eat it, but it's not... I would rather have spaghetti.
I like spaghetti, but I like lasagna. Lasagna is like spaghetti stacked up. It's just good. Lipstick Day and Rain Day. All of that happening on this Monday. And it is a movie star Monday, and I am so excited to visit with Russ Tamblyn. Now, there is a movie from the 1960s or maybe even 1950s called West Side Story. He was one of the dancers, one of the actors in that movie.
Oh, wow.
He was also in Twin Peaks. He's been in a big, long string of things. He taught Elvis Presley some of his dance moves. Yeah, now he's got a book out. It's called Dancing on the Edge. We'll chat with Russ Tamblyn coming up. Charlie has Parkinson's. Recently, Charlie started wearing a bracelet from VitaTech Healing.
I'm an avid golfer, and I was going to give it up this year. I just deteriorated that much. Now I'm back to golfing, enjoying it, having a good time. I just can't stress enough how good it is.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how VitaTech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com. Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. You might think that when it comes to facial attractiveness, eye color could be among the strongest factors. Well, not so, according to research. Did you know that?
I've never paid much attention to somebody's eye color as far as when I'm attracted to somebody.
The color of their eyes doesn't matter, but the size of your irises matters, according to the study.
Oh.
Yeah. It says people appear more attractive when their irises are expanded, showing more brightness in their eyes. The iris is the colored part of the eye that surrounds the pupil. The pupil size is controlled by autonomic bodily functions triggered by changes in light. Researchers found that eye color had no significant bearing on perceived attractiveness. So, all right. So how do I get an iris expansion?
That'll be the next big thing.
I suppose you could probably wear contacts that make your irises look better. Maybe that's what it is. Surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com.
It's rad. It's bad. It's 80s. The coolest rock vacation of the summer. Retromania Live. August 21st through 25th, the Mansion Theater. Starring Vince Neil, Bobby Brown, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Night Ranger, Tom Kiefer, Tiffany, Lou Graham, Pauly Shore, celebrity autograph signing, costume parties, and more. Single day tickets on sale now at RetromaniaLive.com. Produced by Branson Star Entertainment.
Did you know? Brought to you by GenesisGoldIRA.com. Heidi, did you know that you could learn High Valyrian language from the Game of Thrones? It's an online course that teaches that. So big fans of the show who want to know how to say things on there, it is a real language that they created for the show.
Fantastic.
Stories may be make-believe, but the language is fully developed from a communication expert. They went through a thing and built a language. You'd be able to say phrases in High Valyrian like... Kirkenvos, which means thank you. Ian Joralia means I love you. I said all of that wrong, I'm sure.
Wow.
And then Bantis, Zorbi, Isa say something, something. The night is dark and full of terrors.
Wow,
I don't know. I'm sure I got all of it wrong.
That's going to come in handy.
Yeah, so I nailed it. We don't know everything, but now we know this. Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by RadioSavings.com. Ryan Reynolds is in the news. He's finally revealed the name
love him.
of his and Blake Lively's fourth child, Olin, O-L-I-N.
Okay.
No word on Olin's gender yet. Doesn't say if it's a boy or a girl, but the kid's name is Olin. Deadpool Wolverine star made the announcement during the movie's premiere in New York. While speaking to the crowd ahead of the hotly anticipated screening, he said, I want to start by saying thank you to my wife, Blake, who is here. I want to thank my kids, James, Inez, Betty, Olin, who are here. And so anyway, yeah, Olin was born in February. And you want more on Blake and Ryan news, Heidi?
Sure.
Okay, good, because that's all I have. Deadpool Wolverine hits theaters Friday. I think it's already been. It was in theaters last week. Added more fuel to the fire that she's joining the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I don't know. I have not been paying attention.
I just love those two.
Yeah, but we've not seen any of this, but I'm pretty sure the movie's already out, and I've not seen it. So no spoilers, all right? All right. Big screen, little screen, brought to you by radiosavings.com. Charlie has Parkinson's. He started wearing a bracelet from Vitatech Healing, and he's noticed a difference, even while sleeping.
Once I got in bed, I couldn't roll over. I couldn't move. I was just whatever position I was in, just a chore to get out of bed. And now everything is so much better.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how Vitatech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com. Now your scoop of the day comes your way courtesy of bettercreditcards.com. What does it take to get great grades in high school or in college or at a university these days, Heidi?
Showing up.
Well, first thing, I didn't even know college and university were different things. I thought that was the same. But for starters, it might help if your last name starts with the letter A.
What?
Yeah. Study from researchers at the University of Michigan analyzed over 30 million grading records. They found students with surnames that appear early in the alphabet tend to receive higher grades compared to those later in the alphabet.
Yeah, that's not accurate
It's
at all.
attributed to an effect known as sequential grading bias. It's an unintended result of a default alphabetical order of student submissions, mostly online learning management. That means the kids with the surnames that start early in the alphabet have their tests graded first, and they might get better marks before instructors grow weary or they start a trend of just going, no, you know what, I'm going to be a little more picky on some of this.
That's not accurate. My last name started with B.
That's right. Her maiden name did start with a B. Well, she didn't get any B's. She got some D's. All right, moving right along. New research shows that reading the news is increasingly becoming an okay boomer thing. Gen Z says they stay informed in other ways, probably through, social media.
Social media.
Google study shows younger news hounds are relying on posts from their favorite influencers, the opinions of others in comment sections, as opposed to traditional news sources. Anybody shocked by this?
Not even a little.
The findings were announced on the heels of several studies showing that Gen Z has an increased number of older adults are turning to TikTok as their top news source. That is really scary. That is really, really,
That's
really
very scary.
So, anyway.
But that explains a lot, really.
And here's the thing. I'm on TikTok. I'm on there at Big John Small. But don't take anything I do on there as news because it's just nonsense. So, it's not news. I'm there to entertain and make people smile. That's my thing. All right. Scoop of the day comes your way courtesy of bettercreditcards.com.
Can your IRA or 401k stand up to the next financial crisis? By allocating a percentage of your retirement into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns. Safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Protect your retirement today with a simple phone call and receive your free gold and silver guide. Call 1-800-200-GOLD or visit genesisgoldira.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Movie Star Monday. So excited to visit with our guest today, Russ Tamblyn. And when you say movie star, I mean, this guy has starred in some amazing films, going all the way back 50 plus years ago, a movie called West Side Story. And then he's also been in some television shows like Twin Peaks. And now he's got a new book out, Dancing on the Edge, A Journey of Living, Loving, and Tumbling Through Hollywood. And Russ, am I reading this right when it says that you have been in movies for over 50 years? Is that right?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm 89 years old now. And I started when I was about 10. So
now, these last few years, you haven't been quite as busy in front of the camera, but you've been kind of busy behind a keyboard writing your new book, Dancing on the Edge, A Journey of Living, Loving, and Tumbling Through Hollywood. Tell me a little bit about this book. It's available now, right?
That's true. And it's my life. It's really interesting that it's that simple now, but that's what it is.
And the thing that's neat, there are people who would remember you from Twin Peaks, the TV show, which was such a fun show. They would remember you from West Side Story and so many other things. But those two names are like household names. And to be a part of even one of those would be cool. But you've had a chance to be a part of many of those, haven't you?
Yeah, a lot of movies. A lot of people don't even know about some of them.
And I'm reading some of the early praise for this book, and even the names of people who are giving you the praise, like Quentin Tarantino. It's kind of a big name, and I think he's a big fan of you, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. He hired me, but it was great working with him. I'm really fortunate in the sense of that I got to work with great directors, and especially the ones that gave me freedom. I always felt better when I had some freedom.
And you've had a chance to meet some really neat people, and not just meet them, but work with them. And I'm reading here that you even had a chance to teach Elvis Presley some of his dance moves. That's kind of a fun thing to be able to say.
Yeah, it is. I didn't even think that much of it at the time. I just kind of came together. It wasn't like a big meeting. Well, I just was at the studio at MGM and went to visit my favorite choreographer, who was choreographing Elvis in Jailhouse Rock, and I went backstage, and Elvis asked me if I'd come with him. He wanted to show me some steps, which he did, and he said, "What do you think?" And so I gave him some suggestions and got him to snap his knees in together, and he really appreciated it. And I like doing it.
I think that is really, really cool. And then some of the other people who were good friends of yours, that again are household names, Dennis Hopper, and there are several people. I can see why you had to write a book, because your life almost doesn't seem like it could be real. There's so many fascinating things, but this is the life you've lived.
That's it, and it's just as a lot of people talk about their high school days, or mine were all, I was in school with Elizabeth Taylor.
And at the time, did most people know who Elizabeth Taylor was, or is this before she was super famous?
No, she was pretty famous. She was pretty famous even then. She was 18, and she was engaged to Nicky Hilton. And I went to her graduation at MGM. There was myself and Dean Stockwell. That's when we really became good friends. And a young kid named Claude German Jr. And he did a movie called The Yearling about a deer, and they gave him a special Academy Award.
That is fascinating. And
so we were all there at her high school graduation.
Well, that is fantastic. And you've lived an amazing life, my friend, and I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. But I also want to say thank you for writing this book to share these amazing stories for generations to come. Again, the book is called Dancing on the Edge. Russ, thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you. It was really a pleasure, John.
Again, our guest today on this Movie Star Monday has been Russ Tamblyn, and his new book is out right now. It's called Dancing on the Edge, A Journey of Living, Loving, and Tumbling Through Hollywood. I've got a link to it in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Charlie has Parkinson's. Recently, Charlie started wearing a bracelet from Vitatech Healing.
I'm an avid golfer, and I was going to give it up this year. I just deteriorated that much. Now I'm back to golfing, enjoying it, having a good time. I just can't stress enough how good it is.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how Vitatech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The doctor who discovered that washing your hands could prevent the spread of disease was thrown in a mental institution for his crazy ideas.
Really?
Yeah.
For so that crazy idea or for different ones?
Well, apparently that and others. So I don't know what his other crazy ideas were, but that was crazy at the time. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The national instrument of Polynesia is the nose flute, played with one nostril. So, yeah. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
In poker, a card combination of a 9 and a 5 is called a Dolly Parton because of her song 9 to 5.
I did not know that.
So if you've got a 9 and a 5, you've got a Dolly
Parton. That makes sense.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Statistically, once you file something, there's a 98% chance you will never look at it again. For me, it might even be higher than that.
Yeah.
And our final fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Super glue will not stick to Teflon. So, very good to know. Several fun facts. Now you know. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
It's rad. It's bad. It's 80s. The coolest rock vacation of the summer. Retromania Live. August 21st through 25th, the Mansion Theater. Starring Vince Neil, Bobby Brown, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Night Ranger, Tom Kiefer, Tiffany, Lou Graham, Pauly Shore, celebrity autograph signing, costume parties, and more. Single day tickets on sale now at RetromaniaLive.com. Produced by Branson Star Entertainment.
Time now for the Mint Mobile question of the day. It comes your way, courtesy of Mintervention.com. Question for you, Heidi. There is an estimate. It's estimated that a little over 40% of people do this at every meal. What is it? 40% of people. I do this almost always.
Use their phone.
No. Thank you for that. Thinking that was it, though. Salt their food. Even if something is already salty, I probably want a little more salt. But I definitely want a little more pepper.
You're more I was going to say you're more pepper than salt.
Man, I put pepper on everything. I'm a big fan of pepper. So, Mint Mobile question of the day comes your way, courtesy of Mintervention.com. Charlie has Parkinson's. He started wearing a bracelet from Vitatech Healing, and he's noticed a difference, even while sleeping.
Once I got in bed, I couldn't roll over. I couldn't move. I was just whatever position I was in, just a chore to get out of bed. And now everything is so much better.
Click on radiosavings.com to hear more of Charlie's story and find out how Vitatech Healing is helping others with ADHD, fibromyalgia, autism, and more. Plus, find radio-only savings by clicking the link at radiosavings.com. That's radiosavings.com. Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. It looks like the end of the line for those plastic air-filled little pillows that Amazon uses to protect your deliveries. They announced recently that they've eliminated 95% of the single-use box fillers from their packaging in North America. Probably going to be done with them worldwide by the end of the year. Amazon has replaced these plastic buffers with recycled paper. They say not only is it easier to recycle, it also does a better job in the long run.
Nice.
In April, a conservation group estimated Amazon created 208 million pounds of plastic waste in just 1 year, in 2022. That was just in the U.S. So they go, hey, instead, we can just use recycled paper.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then we can encourage you to recycle it once again.
There you go.
I think that's really neat. Weird news. Why was that weird news? That was good news, but it was kind of weird, I guess. Weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
John and Heidi.
Time now for the list brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. Strange sports that were once part of the Summer Olympics. So the Paris Olympics recently opened, and these are things that truly were Olympic sports.
Okay.
Tug of war.
I remember hearing
from
that
1900 to 1920. They had tug of war as an Olympic sport. Club swinging, an event that happened twice. In 1904 and again in 1932, they would perform a routine by swinging a club that looked like a bowling ball, kind of. So, I don't know. Running deer. In the early 1900s, competitors shot at a deer-shaped target which would move or run at a distance of 75 feet.
Okay.
We're only going to get to one more. We'll finish the list tomorrow. Dueling pistols. In 1906, a bizarre event saw competitors shoot wax bullets at human-shaped targets dressed in long coats from 20 to 30 meter distance.
Oh, my gosh.
So, yeah. Wonder why they took that one out of the Olympics.
Yeah, really.
The Olympics apparently are happening now, and they're apparently on TV, and apparently people are watching. Apparently, I haven't watched any of it. List brought to you by BetterCreditCards.com. Apparently.
Can your IRA or 401k stand up to the next financial crisis? By allocating a percentage of your retirement into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns. Safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Protect your retirement today with a simple phone call and receive your free gold and silver guide. Call 1-800-200-GOLD or visit GenesisGoldIRA.com.
Now your quote of the day comes your way, courtesy of radiosavings.com. Our quote today is from Linda Grayson, who says, "There's nothing better than a friend, unless it is a friend with chocolate."
Oh, man, I love chocolate.
I do too. You know what would be really fun? To just show up at somebody's house with chocolate.
Just for
show
no
up.
reason.
Yeah. Hey, what you doing? I was in the neighborhood.
Brought you some chocolate.
I had a Snickers. I just wanted to stop and say hi and give that to you. Like that. I'm just saying, if anybody happens to be in the neighborhood later with a Snickers, just kidding. You don't need to do that. I can't eat it right now anyway. I'm on a diet. Quote of the day comes your way, courtesy of radiosavings.com.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. It's a really cool story. It comes your way courtesy of GenesisGoldIRA.com, all the way from Lee Acres in Florida. And the story says, I was in disbelief. Stranger pays $800 for a teacher's classroom supplies. Talk about a cool thing to do.
That's a lot. Yeah.
It is. It says, a heartwarming act of kindness. A stranger just paid for a teacher's entire school year worth of supplies, alleviating a significant financial burden just weeks before the new school year begins. Let's pump the brakes for a second. Just weeks before the new school year begins, Heidi. Didn't school just get out?
I'm wondering what supplies the teachers need, because the kids
let's
all
talk
bring
about it.
their own supplies.
Yeah, but they don't. First grade teacher Emily Vincent was at a local store filling her cart with supplies for her classroom. She's known for her generosity. She buys extra backpacks and lunch boxes, anticipating that some of the students might not have those things. All of these expenses come out of her own pocket. As she approached the checkout, mentally preparing to pay whatever it was going to cost, a man standing behind her made an unexpected offer. He insisted, hey, let me cover the cost of the supplies. She said, I was honestly asking him, are you sure? Like, do you want to just get like a $20 gift card or something? He goes, no. She said, I was in disbelief, but he wanted to purchase everything in my cart for my class. With the new school year approaching, she can now dedicate her entire attention to her students' educational needs without the added worry of covering costs of essential supplies. So here's the thing. I know several teachers who, like Heidi was saying, well, shouldn't that all be there? It's not, though. There's a lot of stuff that's not there. And the teachers do dip into their own pockets to make sure that these things are covered, because somebody's got to do it. It kind of lands on their shoulders. And sadly, there are some places that do have a fund set up, but a lot of places don't. So it's really cool that this lady was going to spend $800 of her own money to buy stuff.
That's really great.
Which is super generous. And then some dude behind her goes, I'll do that. And you want to know my favorite thing? His name is not in the story because he didn't do it for the credit.
And that's when I like the stories the most.
I love it the most. Where it's like, I'll do that. She's like, well, who are you? Can I tell people? Nope, it's all good.
Batman.
I just did it because it was the right thing to do. So I've got a link to that story in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Monday.